Anybody? How's everybody doing today?
Christy, I wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, I heard somebody and then they disappeared.
Can you hear me?
There you go. Yep.
Okay. I was thanking you for that video about, the week that you're working on judgment. And I was thinking about it. And I kept catching myself judging constantly. And then I'd catch myself and then it would go away. I'd be good for a minute, maybe less. And it was like I couldn't stop judging everything. And I was trying to do it just today.
It's an interesting practice. And if you catch yourself doing it, it's easy to actually stop doing it because once you realize it, you're like, oh my. But we do, and everything is a judgment. Like it doesn't even, if you're looking at a color and calling it a color, that's a judgment.
Yeah.
Like everything is a judgment. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's quite the practice. What did you notice happen when you were practicing that?
That it was so automatic that I thought I was better about it, but I'm like, my mission was to watch that, and just while I was even walking, and it was harder than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we do everything, right? We look at something and we have to make a judgment on it based on what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And when you don't do that, when you can get yourself to a place where you can just observe and just look at anything, at whatever it is, and not have any kind of judgment to it at all, it will literally put you into such a state of peace and neutrality. And I mean, walking that road is just kind of interesting because that vibration, right, without the thought, without the feeling, you're in a state of neutrality. What happens to your field? What happens to everything around you? Because it's all created vibrationally.
Did you get through the whole week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on to the next. I think I'm holding space for myself this week. So, but it stacks, right? So now it's non-judgment and holding space for myself, which I tend not to do. I tend to do that for everybody else, but I never do that for me. So now I'm practicing doing it for me. Yeah. On top of having no judgment. If you're holding space for yourself, you better not be judging yourself because that's a rough sell.
That's true.
Yes. Melissa said giving something a name is a judgment. Yes. Yes. Oh, goodness. Anybody else have anything? How's everybody else doing? Anybody? All right, we're going to go ahead and start because I'm not seeing anybody else. If they come in, we'll just let them in. It'll be fine. Okay. What I wanted to do today was something that I've just been playing with and kind of understanding as I'm playing with it, I guess. And that's understanding words in a different light. And then what happens, when you typically call something, so judging it, call something by its name, and then you find out there's a different name for it, or you find out there could be a different name for it, and using that. So we're going to kind of play with that for a second and see what you guys notice. And I'm just going to ask questions, and I want to have you guys answer. However, there's no judgment here. There's no right or wrong. It doesn't matter how you think about it, or like just answer it how you do, and it's for your own use, so that you can kind of play with it and see what you think at some point. So the first thing I'm going to ask is for you to define the word spirit. How do you define the word spirit? There's so few of us in here. If you want to turn on your microphone, that's fine. Or if you want to type it in the chat box, that is fine too. Define the word spirit.
I guess I'd define it as I had it and I lost it. The energy. Well, I have a hard time saying this, like, because realizing that the material aspect of me is also energetic, but I was going to say the energetic part of me that is directly connected to source or God or whatever you want to call it. However, that's a bit of a misnomer, as even the material that I exist in is actually all part of that as well. So
Very good. Anybody else?
Oh, I agree with Lance and goodness, I guess, spirit, like wholeness, goodness.
Okay. Melissa typed in, spirit is a formless awareness. Formless awareness. All right, so I'm a cheater. I looked it up. And I have my definition too. And mine is usually based more on my religious upbringing, so I'm still battling through some of that stuff. It produces a picture in my head of what spirit should look like based on what I was taught. But if you actually look it up in a dictionary, it says a force or principle believed to animate living beings, which is where I probably would have gone with my definition, is more, Christopher says breath. That's nice. The thing that animates matter would be my idea of spirit. Now hold on to all of that, right? If you have something to write on, I would be writing this down so you remember what you said. And even if you like somebody else's answer, go with that. Define the word sentience. Define the word sentience. What is sentience? Define the word sentience. Anybody, what do you think? Or sentient, either way.
I was going to say awareness that exists in an animated form.
Okay. Melissa says sentience is the ability to recognize self from non-self. Okay. Anybody else?
I'm just kind of judging the word. I'm just thinking it means like a higher level of awareness, a higher level.
Okay. Absolutely could be. And I have no answers to any of this. We are just literally playing to this. Christopher says awareness beyond this plane. The dictionary says the quality or state of being sentient as consciousness. It also says feeling as distinguished from perception or thought. So it's that which you are when you're distinguishing yourself from your perception or your thoughts. Where did I go? I lost my Zoom room. Here we go. So now I want you to weigh the two. Think about your two answers. And what I understood when I was playing with this, and I kind of had to sit and go into a little bit of a meditation and just sit and kind of be with it for a few minutes, was that sentience is a form of spirit, or spirit's a form of sentience. So sentience being, and some of you said that, the higher level, it is the awareness. And then spirit comes from that, the force of animation, what animates matter. And I thought that was interesting. And I was sitting there letting that just kind of move into my awareness. And what came up was, how does your word choice when you're speaking, because we use the spirit word all the time, right? It's all spirit, everything, you know, spirit, higher self. We go through kind of all the little words that everybody typically uses, but you hardly ever hear the word sentience. How would your word choice change your perception of what you actually are if you use the word sentience? Anybody?
Can you repeat that?
How would changing your word choice, so instead of using the word spirit, using the word sentience, right? Instead of saying my spirit, I would be saying my sentience. And you can even, this, I mean, fun game to play, right? Say to yourself, and I mean, say it out loud, but say to yourself, my sentience. Feel it for a second and then say my spirit. Feel the difference.
It feels more of an isness.
Now we have to define it. It definitely has more, I almost want to use the word, I don't know what the right word is. I almost want to use the word girth. When I say my sentience, I feel more, there's more something there. Spirit's more hollow feeling to me. Anybody else? What are you noticing?
It just doesn't feel right. It just feels awkward to say.
Sentience feels awkward to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Melissa says sentience is awareness to her. Yeah, I would say I probably agree with that. Interesting. So just interesting differences. So same idea. Define the word light. Define the word light. Anybody?
Kind
Come
of
on.
like an awakening.
Okay. Thank you. I was going to say somebody has a definition. So an awakening. Define the word light. To me, light is the energy that I have access to. That's how I've always thought of light. The more light I have, the more energy I have access to. Anybody else? Define the word light. Christopher says energetic fuel. Yeah, that would be kind of how I look at it. All right, so to weigh that against, define the word illumination. Define the word illumination.
To bring attention to.
Okay. Anybody else? Remember, there's no rights or wrongs here. There's no right or wrong here.
Expansion.
Say it one more time.
Expansion.
Expansion. Okay. Anybody else? Christopher says, bring forth emphasis. Melissa says, illumination, experiencing truth. So if I look those two words up, and I just find this interesting, light is defined as outside of the weight or the standard of that kind of thing. Oh, I've got the wrong one pulled up here. Something that makes vision possible, a sensation aroused by the stimulation of visual receptors. So they're all going for kind of the more tangible body, right? The physical kind of idea. A source that reaches out of the darkness, one of them says. That's kind of funny. This is out of Merriam-Webster's. And then illumination is defined as the act of illuminating. So light being something that comes from the act of illuminating. A state of being illuminated. The last definition literally is a source of light. And just, I mean, the same idea, just thinking about those two words, say both of them. I mean, we use the word light that way, right? I am light. I obtain light. I utilize the light. Say those words and feel it, and then use the word illumination and feel it. And just notice. And I would probably take all of those words and I would use an etymology dictionary. And then I would look them up again and take them back into original languages and see what they say. Because for me, illumination feels way more powerful than light does. Light's like something that engages with my physical body and gives me the electronic impulses that we need to motivate this machine to keep moving. And the illumination is something that actually comes from my awareness or my sentience. That to me feels like is above my spirit. If that makes any sense. Any thoughts? What does it feel like to you? Come on, you guys. What does it feel like to you?
It felt different, actually. It felt like something rising kind of outside of me, but it was like literally like light or energy rising as opposed to just light. I guess when I think of light, I just think of being, but this felt very different.
Yeah.
Like flowy,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Exactly.
Nice. Melissa says illumination is more expensive than light. Maybe expansive. It could be more expensive. Everything is more expensive right now. More expansive than light. Yes. We got you. Yeah. Yeah, that flow feeling, that's a good way to put that. Yeah. Super interesting. So I mean, when you're using these words, when you're using any words, right? The word choice that you use, and I mean, the only way I can explain this is it throws you into judgment, or you use the correct word choice that actually takes you to the thing that you're trying to get to. If I'm calling it something it's not, it turns into a form of judgment, is what I have noticed. And with things that we can't really define, things that are kind of in the esoteric or the land of the woo-woo, as it were, it's interesting because we don't have good words and we don't have a good language to help us describe this stuff. But the closer you can get to those words that kind of meet, and it literally is the energy that's met by the words that you speak. Yeah, changing your vocabulary is a game changer. Hardcore in many different planes of this existence. Yes. All right, we're going to move on from that. Anybody else have any thoughts on any of that stuff? Words are the codes in the construct. I mean, they say it's spelling, right? Words are, you're casting spells with the words you say. And if you use the wrong word, you're casting the wrong spell. So you're giving the wrong code into the construct as to what it is that you're trying to accomplish if you're not using the correct code, the correct word. That's good. Yeah. Crazy. All right. Anybody else? Okay. This is a little bit off track from that, but it kind of winds back into it. If we call this construct a program, right? We're all running a program that gives us our identities. It gives us who we think we are and how we think we should act and all the stuff you've been taught and all the stuff you've gone through and all that stuff. Where does the program stop? Where does the program stop? Where does the construct stop? Whatever word you want to use for it, where does it stop? Good answer. Melissa says, when you're in your awareness totally.
When you're under anesthesia. I just experienced that 3 weeks ago. It was blackout. I was like, yeah, lights out.
Oh, how funny. And so think of it in this manner, because there's a couple different ways you can look at it. And you guys have picked up on one of the aspects when you're totally in your awareness or when you're blacked out. And I don't know if the program would stop when you've been knocked out, because the subconscious mind is going to keep kicking in whatever it thinks it knows about you. But when you're in your awareness, you can actually learn to control that. But where does the program stop, as in what layer of reality? How much information, or what is it you know? That's a good way to put this. What is it that you know that's not part of the program? Melissa said, when you get to the place of no form. And I'm going to play the devil's advocate for a second, not literally, but figuratively. What if the place of no form is part of the program? What if that was written into the script just to confuse you? I don't know anymore. I don't know. That's what I would be doing. That's what I'm asking. Where does it stop? What isn't programmed? That's a hell of a conundrum. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I
Where
think,
do you think it stops?
yeah, I think this has been the question on my mind for the last few weeks now, and I don't have an answer, and maybe someday I will, maybe I won't, but I don't know where it stops.
I accept that. I don't know if we can have an answer, honestly. Here's what I have started doing, because things will show up and, you talk about different ideas and concepts that relate to this whole notion of spirituality, which I do think is part of the construct. The more I look at this, the more I'm like, man, they programmed that thing too. And then it's how do you get beyond that awareness of the thing that we think is spirit, if it's part of the program. And what I keep understanding is, if you keep asking those kind of questions, if it's something I know in this construct, it was probably programmed, right? And we go straight to Christianity. We like to bang on that one hard, because we know that the Bible was rewritten the way we were handed it in the West, was rewritten so many times. And the words were changed and the meanings were changed, and you can't translate I mean, it just doesn't translate, right? So we got all kinds of weirdness going on in that. And we know that. Like you can't even argue it at this point, right? There's no way around it. We know that that's the case. But if it's the case with that, why wouldn't that be true of every other concept or idea? And it's literally the idea that Christianity is part of the program. They were trying to lead humanity a certain direction by programming them with this information, right, that's written in those books, and we won't necessarily go into any of that. But why then wouldn't it be that be true of everything else that we think we know about spirituality? Pick your favorite, right? Pick your favorite. The teachings of Krishna, Buddha, Hinduism. I don't know, pick one. Why do we think it's not part of the construct? Anybody?
You're asking if any other forms of religion or are also part of the construct? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Oh,
They don't lead you out of here. They lead you back here.
yeah,
It's all part of the manipulation.
I think they certainly, in general, the most of the teachings talk about the wheel of samsara and not leaving until you attain enlightenment, of course. So, and then after that, you're no longer on the wheel, so you are no longer reincarnated. But I don't know that that's a truth of Buddhism either. And it all appears to be part of a similar construct as, if you talk about the demiurge or something like that, very similar in that sense. So I don't know.
Melissa says, I've always suspected anything written down could be part of the construct, and therefore was manipulated. Christopher says, it's being aware that you are in an anomaly, like the architect told Neo in the Matrix, since the architect programmed everything. Melissa says, you must experience the answers yourself, but you cannot be written down or even talked about because there are no words when you're in that space. That's an interesting answer. Yeah. What I have come to with that, because I've sat with that for quite a bit also, all of this came from not judging stuff. This came by way of not judging. Where does this program stop? If I'm not judging any of it, I started to see through it, which was super bizarre. And looking through whatever it was I got to, I don't even know how you talk about this. I mean, like Melissa said, there's no words. But it was the idea that the idea of spirit that's in you, there's higher levels of that. That would be like a stepping stone, is how I always looked at a stepping stone into a higher state of consciousness. And when I stopped judging what I thought it was, or what I called it, right? Spirit, sentient, when I stopped judging it with words, all of a sudden it became nothing. And just looking around in the place right where I'm at, everything just started to kind of fade out and have no meaning, right? Fade out meaning have no meaning. None of it had any meaning to it, which was a little bit scary, actually. I was like, holy cow. And then realizing that getting out of the construct, we make it such an arduous journey, right? Everything is so hard to, and make it into such a struggle. And what I saw was that all the identities I give myself cause the struggle. So I'm back to judgment again. If I, think I'm this, or I'm a bad mother, I'm not good enough as a chef, right? List all the stuff that I do in my lifetime. And I'm just judging myself. And even like I'm a great wife. It's still a form of judgment. If I take all of that off of it, all of a sudden the lack of meaning to it gives me a different sleeve that I can go and find that higher part of me, the sentience or whatever that part of me is that just is kind of there. And I kept asking, okay, what is this? What is this? If this is what I truly am, where did I come from? What is it? How can I utilize it in this form? And what I started hearing was that it's no different than this form. We've been so lied to about what this is compared to what that is, or what this is compared to what this is. It's like you utilize it all the same way. Once you get rid of the identity, all of a sudden you can be that higher part of yourself, and you just do what you do. You utilize it the same kind of way, but you're operating from a higher level of illumination, higher level of flow, right? Let me go backwards here. Does anybody want to jump in? We got the matrix. Melissa said there's something above what we call awareness. There's a lot above what we call awareness. So interesting. The Reveal and the Trap by David Icke talked about it's our identity and perception that's what keeps us trapped here. Yeah, and even I don't know if you've heard of this guy named R.J. Spina. He's been talking about, he calls it the ego identity, right? And the word ego came from a source that I don't really trust anyway, so I don't like using the word ego because of where it came from. But ego identity, self-identity, anything that you identify to this physical form is not your sentient self. It's not your higher self. It's not your illumination. It's part of the construct. Anything, everything. So I sat for the last number of days trying to work myself out of that. How do you get yourself into a place, into such a deep meditation? I actually went to a singing bowl ceremony where they were doing brainwave states. And she was literally playing delta, gamma, and lambda, I think it's called. Holy cow, throw you right out of this world. But it was sitting in those states that all of a sudden I started realizing even what we think is correct isn't necessarily. Like it'll start to get you towards that direction. So now I'm sitting on my couch this morning and I'm like, okay, show me that. Take me back there. And almost immediately went back into this space where my body disappeared and everything around me kind of dissolved, and I couldn't feel the couch underneath me. My legs started feeling tingly and numb, and then they were gone. Super bizarre feeling. And then sitting with that thing and just asking, what is this? And I hate to say part of me because it is not part of you. It is you. It is you. How do I utilize it inside this form? Just interesting. Anybody have any thoughts on any of that? The Reveal and the Trap. Are those books? Are those separate books, or is that one book? The Reveal and the Trap. I don't know. I'd have to look them up. Yep, they're separate books. Okay. Thoughts? Anybody? And it's actually nice. Like I don't worry about anything that's going on in the world. And not that I really did anyway, but sometimes, if you pay too much attention, it'll start to get to you. But now I'm just like, whatever. It'll be whatever it is. Okay, we'll move on if nobody has anything to say about that. The next thing that showed up in my awareness is, how does intention work? How does intention work? And these are all kind of, I want to say, basic concepts, but I think they're the fundamental concepts that carry everything forward. How does intention work? And none of these are trick questions. There is no right or wrong answers here, so please don't hesitate to answer.
The desire to follow through on a passion.
Yeah, I like that one. Christopher says that and focus of a subject. Yeah. That kind of all works together, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it only works when the physical you works with it.
Say that one more time.
It only works, the intention only works when the physical you works with it.
Works with it, gotcha. Yeah, because I guess the higher form, I mean, I guess if it's, yeah, we could go back into the conundrum. The spirit form, if you're sitting in your spirit with an intention, in my surroundings, in my life, if I'm in my heart space with my intention, not attention, with my intention, things seem to happen faster. If I'm in my brain doing intentions, it never seems to go anywhere. Anybody else? So with intention, one of the things that, I mean, years and years ago, somebody had said to me, it's like ordering from a menu. You go in and order your steak and your chocolate cake or whatever it is you want, and then you just expect it to show up. You don't do anything else. And a lot of the teachers online are always teaching the arduous nature of manifesting, and you have to, do it again. And then there's stuff, do it again, don't do it again. Keep thinking about it, right? Hold it in this state of vibration. You have to find the right vibration of the thing that you're trying to manifest. Holy cow, that's a fun one. But from the idea that you're just ordering from a menu, somebody else I heard the other day said, it's like just turning on your GPS and putting the address in, and then you just follow it and it takes you where you wanted to go. So to the idea of desire, what I understood going through this process this last couple of weeks was command your desire. So your intention as almost like a command, like you don't beg the waitress to bring you chocolate cake. You just say, I'm ordering a chocolate cake, right? It's just a blanket statement. And then you wait till it comes. And then it shows up. So from that kind of an idea, working within the program, and knowing what you want, right? So being able to clearly identify what you want. What I heard about intention is it's kind of weird, because if we are intending things from the program, you're going to get program hiccups, meaning that maybe the people around you have a different energy that's being sent out to the same idea. And because you're in close proximity, it will cause a hiccup in the energy that you sent out of your intention for whatever your desire was. Does that make any sense? If you're intending from a higher state of consciousness, it's a whole different ballgame. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Did that make sense? That made my head spin for a second. If you're ordering chocolate cake from your spirit, It's so much tastier. The intention when it's from a higher state of consciousness. And it's like you can only, your brain has to think it in order. If you get the intention from your spirit to do something and you activate it by stepping into it, all bets are off, right? It will take you into places and things that are, I mean, you would never think you would be doing, which is super fun and interesting. Christopher says it happens to me when I jive idea about cars and somebody else builds or buys my vision from another place. Explain that to me. And somebody else builds or buys my vision. Oh, have idea about cars and somebody else. So is that good or bad? I mean, if they're buying it from another place, I guess that's not what you're wanting. Yeah. Melissa said, I always try to manifest awareness. Spirit is a whole different vibe. Yeah. And then even this idea from outside of the program, if you're the sentience and the illumination, and you activate that in your system, and then do your work from there, what starts to happen? And I don't know, I'm just throwing all this out there. This is all stuff that I've just been musing over. And none of this stuff you can do. This is part of the problem, I think, with intention and even the idea of manifesting is the judgment that goes along with some of those kind of things. If you can take the judgment out of it, how strange is that? Thoughts, questions? Anybody? All right, ready for the next one? This is the last one, and then we'll do a little meditation. Can you take the judgment out of wanting something? Can you take the judgment out of wanting something? I mean, I would have to say yes, right? Explain more. Can you turn on your microphone? Explain more of what the wanting would look like.
Well, I was saying it's always the person that wants something, right? The fact that you're asking or wanting something is always from the place of the person. I mean, I know the person wants it, but you're using the spirit or awareness to get you to there, but it always starts from the level of the person. Because awareness doesn't ever want anything.
Yeah, it changes the whole nature of it.
So I don't know if you can, because if you want something, it's always your person wanting something.
Yeah, I don't know, right? Because if the body itself we're part of the construct is the physical body and the mind is what you typically hear. It's the body mind combination. And it needs stuff in order to be here. I mean, there's certain things if you didn't have, this would cease, right? It would cease to exist. And so if spirit wants this thing to keep existing, it has to provide what is needed. And if your needs match, or if your concept of what you're desiring in that need form matches what spirit wants, it's almost an instantaneous manifestation. If I'm being outlandish and I'm literally trying to order up $1 million, right, and I want cash money on the spot, what are the chances of that's going to happen? Christopher says it's still a thought. These things still serve a purpose in this plane of existence, yeah. But I don't think when spirit's coming through you, I don't consider that a thought. Because I have information come through, energy come through, that definitely is not a thought form of my physical nature. And I'm sure all of you do too. And I could be totally on the wrong track here. We could just be going down a wall for no reason. I don't know. Anybody else? What do you think? Angel, Lance, chime in here.
I mean, I agree with Melissa, with what Melissa said, and I was just thinking, like you said, sometimes you just get information and it informs you to make a decision. So even if my intention is not there, sometimes maybe it was in a dream state, maybe it was somewhere else, but when it comes through and I'm given information, like, you know, if it's simply yes or no about something, it may just come through. So it's not necessarily a thought form coming from me. I don't know. It's an interesting space.
Maybe the word intention is the wrong word, and
Could be.
yeah, when it's information from spirit.
Well, what I'm saying though is maybe the intention was put out there by me in some state, in some way, at some point, and I'm maybe not aware that I put it out there.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I know intention should be like, you know, doing it through awareness should be the point, but like I said, it could be in a dream state or something as well. It could be in a different form where it was put out there potentially. So I don't know, because sometimes I get, you know, information and the thought is immediate. The decision is immediate. It's so I'm curious if potentially intentions can be put out there while we're actually unaware. I'm not sure. Or conscious, I should say, at least in the physical form.
Well, if you're acting, I mean, I think that's where I'm going with it, is if you're acting as your awareness, not as the body mind. The body mind is here, but I'm acting as my awareness instead of that. I'm wondering, I mean, is it still an intention or is it different? I have no idea. But I agree with you. I think it can come from, I mean, if you're in a dream state and you end up with an intention or something, you know, because you still, the vibrational qualities still occur. It depends where the wanting is coming from, the program or the spirit. That's a good one. Yep. That could be more what I was trying to think. I called those powerful insights seemingly out of nowhere. Depends on who's driving the car of awareness or program. Yeah, because if it's just the program throwing stuff out because that's what the program does versus interesting. Anybody else? Thanks for all your input. That was very interesting. Anybody else?
Christy, I was just wondering what word you use instead of the ego.
Instead of ego?
Yeah.
I just don't use it. It's like, to me, it's like using the word God.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't use it anymore because the definition just makes no sense in my mind.
I guess what I've been saying to certain people is, you know, you're in your head, you're not in your heart.
To me, the ego is directly related to your identities.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they're just reacting or acting from the head space,
Yeah,
not the heart space.
yeah. And literally, if you start to look at it as the identities of who you are, which is your headspace for sure, right? It's part of the program. The identities, when you start to get rid of those, you literally let them go and take the judgment, take the words away from them. You're just a different person. You can't operate the same. It's literally impossible to operate the same if you let go of those identities. Melissa said there's different levels of what we think of as I. You know, I don't know. That's a good question too. I mean, the words, right? What we label things, the I am self from the heart space, from the secret space of the Most High, if that higher self, and some people, like if they're when they're talking about this, that's all there is. There is that I am self, and that is the higher self, that is the higher plane. And I have come to the conclusion that I feel like, right, just where I'm at right now, this could change tomorrow, that's part of the program. And I actually think it was something I heard Mauro Biglino say that made me go, whoa, what? He redefined the Iya as sure Iya. He's a linguist, and he's an Italian linguist, and that's what he does, or what he used to do for the Vatican was not rewrite, what's the right word for it? Translate stuff out of the Old Testament, but the New Testament some too. And the story is just not the same story when the translation is closer to what. And it changed that. I was like, oh goodness sakes, holy cow. Nothing you think you know. Nothing you think you know. It's all part of the construct. If you think you know it, it's part of the construct. You learned it here. It's part of the construct. All right. How about, what does it mean to know thyself? What does it mean to know thyself?
Quick question, Christy. The I am that I am, is that what you were referring to?
Yes.
Yeah. What did he, just out of curiosity, what did he come up with as the correct translation or the correct meaning behind it?
Let me go back and listen to him again.
Oh, it's okay. I can find it. I was just curious if you knew offhand.
It was actually in an interview, and I can send it to you. It was in an interview with an archaeologist. Oh, I can see his face and I can't say his name. I'll find the link and I'll send it to you. My brain is really tired today. But yeah, they were going through Graham Hancock. Yes, thank you, Melissa. They were going through and just discussing all these things. So you had the archaeology side of it, and then you had the linguistic side of it. And some of the stuff that Graham was asking him, I was like, oh, wow, good question. Good question. Mauro just goes off on tangents. So holy cow. But he came out with something about that in the middle of all of it. And I was just like, oh boy. And for the plane of, or for the program, right, for the construct, the definition is probably, that's what they were teaching, right? That is what they wanted you to know. That came out of the program. But when you understand it the way he said it, and I won't even try and repeat it because it just like, it was one of those things that made your eyes kind of twitch. But I'll find it and write it down so we can have a better discussion about it, because to me, it was a game changer. I was like, okay. And it took me more into these other realms. And realms isn't even the right word for it. Thank you, Angel. Have a good night. We're at 4 o'clock now. Okay, I don't think we really went into what does it mean to know thyself. Christopher says to realize that there's not a separation of your sentience in your physical body. Yeah, that's exactly where, and most people are like they start with picking apart their physical mind and their physical identities, thinking that's the self that you're trying to get to know, until you get to the spirit side of it. And then you start picking that apart, trying to figure out what it is. And I think you just hit the nail on the head. There isn't a separation between your sentience and the physical body until this passes, until it gets kind of let go of, I guess. But I think there's more to this physical nature than we give credibility to. I think there is something to our fascia, which seems to be an electrical system. If you actually look at the fascia, it has a rainbow hue to it. It's kind of interesting. And it's the body that holds all your, what they tell you it does is it holds all the insides together. It's sheets of material basically that are inside your skin but outside the muscle, and it just holds. There's a sheet that runs top to bottom, front and back, and then there's two spiral sheets that run through from the crown of your head to the bottom of your feet that go in opposing spirals all the way through your whole body. And I think there's more to that than we have understood. It's because we are animating this physical body.
Sounds like a toroid field.
I mean, it could be. I mean, it all causes energy, right? Your chakras are torsion fields.
Yep.
The way they're described. So yeah, all part of the animating. Yes and yes. All right, you guys have a few more minutes and we'll do a little meditation and then we'll check out. Yes, no, maybe. All right, well, we'll just go ahead and do it. So go ahead and take a few deep breaths. Inhales and exhales, get yourself comfortable. As you're breathing, start releasing your physical body. So starting at your feet, just allowing everything to relax. As you inhale, let the oxygen and energy come up through your body, all the way from your root to your crown. And as you exhale, I want you to try and just feel the oxygen and energy moving back down through you as your body just relaxes. Your feet, your calves, your knees, your thighs, up through your hips, everything just sinks into the chair you're sitting on, up your back and through your chest. Everything relaxes, your shoulders relax, your face relax, your jawline, your eyes, your ears, the scalp on your head, under your hair. Notice if you can let that relax. And inhale, and a nice, long, slow exhale, and drop your awareness into your heart space. Drop yourself into your heart space. And feel gratitude, or hope, or joy. Allow that feeling to start to move through all the tissues of your physical body, relaxing it more. And from your heart space, I want you to ask to be taken to the highest form of you that is possible for you right now. Allow yourself to keep relaxing. You might feel like you're dropping into that space between sleep and wake. Let it all go. And ask inside your heart space, take me to that highest form of myself that I can possibly get to now. And just become aware of that. With all of your awareness there, all of your focus. If you're having trouble getting there, just detach your eyes from your brain. Let it all go. Allow yourself to sink deeper into this awareness. And from wherever you've gotten to, wherever you're at, I want you to notice your physical body. Notice what it feels like. Just become aware. You're just observing, just noticing. Your breath gets more quiet. Your body gets more still. And if you find yourself in a place that's somewhere you've never been before, start asking questions. Who is this I? You recognize that this is you. You recognize that this is you. It's not a part of you. It's not some other part of you. As this awareness, what is it you know about yourself? As this awareness, what is it you know? Whatever you're noticing, feeling, you might see color, the sacred geometry, whatever you're noticing. Notice if you can bring that back down. And as your awareness operating in your physical form, all of the awareness and energy into the dantian, the space behind your navel. Let the energy emanate from that space and fill your physical body with this awareness. When you're ready, you wiggle your toes, press your palms into your legs. Recognize your physical body. And when you open your eyes, notice if you can hold this state. Hold this state as that awareness. And I'm going to leave you with that. We're a little bit after 4, so that's nice. But I'm going to leave you in that place. Close your eyes and go back if you want to. Or stay as this awareness with your eyes open. Walk around and keep feeling it. All right, we'll see you next week. I love you. Thank you. And I bless you.